pressure.
Okay, program and
Audition.
on the TriCaster, not audition. It's program.
What do you want on?
The November edition of Eye on the Storm. I'm Randy Payton, the Sports Information Director here at the University of Rio Grande. We'll take a look back at what has happened with our fall sports. We're underway in winter sports, and joining me today is Rio Grande men's basketball head coach Ken French, one of his senior players, Corey Cruz, along as well. Jeff Lanham, he is on special assignment. He is getting a tan in Florida, along with the men's soccer team while they compete in the NAIA National Tournament. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we want to turn our attention to men's basketball to start out with, and we'll talk with Coach French first. Coming off of the NAIA D2 showcase down in Kingsport, Tennessee over the weekend, second year that you've done it, and a pretty successful event.
It was a great event. Outside of the two results that we had, it was a great event. It's turned into one of the premier NAIA holiday events, and the feedback that we got from the coaches this year and the teams, the Kingsport Visitors Bureau with Frank Lett, and it's just been a phenomenal partnership, and couldn't ask for a better second year, and I think it's going to continue to grow and get better, and we look for it to be the premier event, NAIA Division II.
You had a women's division this year. You added 2 men's teams and 6 women's teams. Is it going to continue to grow, or is that still up for debate?
It is. Unfortunately for you, it is going to grow. We're going to have 12 men's teams next year and 8 women's teams. So we'll have a 20-team field, and we'll do the same thing, play on each side of the ballroom, but there will be a men's game in Ballroom B or Gym B or whatever you want to call it. So next year, we're going to grow a little bit more, and I'm sure that the Meadowview Resort likes it because we're at max capacity now, as far as they're concerned, and on rooms, and just a great event. Having all the teams there stay in the same place, and you get out of your hotel room, you just walk right straight down the hall, and that's where you play. So it's a great event, and we look forward to trying to improve it and tweak it and put put some bows on it, so to speak.
You got a couple of more events coming up in December, which we'll talk about in a moment, but I want to bring Corey in. Coach mentioned that 2 losses in the D2 showcase last weekend. You guys are sitting at 2-6 right now, and had a lot of new faces coming into the program this year when you started, and now you're trying to readjust after losing Raul Timoney to an injury. You guys, you have your hands full as you get ready to start River State's conference play this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that's something that is going to happen throughout a season. Injuries, things are going to pop up, guys not being able to play, but we feel like that no matter what happens, we're going to stay together, and we're going to play hard, no matter what game it is, who we're playing. And that's just going to be our main objective, is to come out on top.
You, as the senior leader on this team, you had your hands full anyway, but again, given the slow start the team's off to, is your job even more difficult now?
I guess you could say that. I just kind of try and talk about it every day, that we just got to keep going, take one step at a time. There's no reason to harp on the previous loss or the game before or whatever happened. If it's a win, it doesn't matter. You got to go on to the next game no matter what.
Talk about this weekend. You get into River State's conference play. Head to Pittsburgh this weekend, Point Park and Carlo. And struggling at the moment, but no time to look back. You got to look ahead and plan on what's in front of you.
Absolutely. I mean, our conference, there's no slouch at all. So you're going to have to come in, night out, wherever we're playing, whoever we're playing, and you're going to have to bring your A game because it really just doesn't matter. You have to come out and play.
Coach, what's this guy bring to the table? I know you put a lot on his shoulders for this season, and I hope they're broad shoulders.
Well, he's carrying a lot of weight right now. But, he's our captain, and he's been in the program. He understands what we want. And from a stability standpoint, he's providing everything that we need. And, he preaches to the young guys and to the team every day. If I'm not saying it, he's saying it, talking about be patient with the process. This is a process. We knew November was going to be a bear. We knew it was going to be extremely tough. We had just started to play up to our capability, and then, boom, we lose Roll to an injury, which, for any team would be tough. But for a young team, it's a little bit tougher. It sets you back a little bit. So now we're learning. We're just now figuring out what the identity of this team is, and we're starting to get comfortable with it. So, the challenge for us is now we've established how we think we need to play to be successful and the rotations, and we've got guys that are playing well. How is that going to translate into league play? And 4 league games before Christmas, it's going to be tough. And there are, 3 of the 4 are on the road. We haven't, we've only played 3 games in Newt Oliver Arena. And, we've traveled a lot. It's been tough on us. But I also think we've grown a lot as a team, and our cohesiveness is really good right now.
Talk about what the conference is going to bring this year. I think the new ratings came out yesterday. 2 teams from the league in the top 25.
2 teams in the top 25, IU East and IU Southeast, and they're both playing extremely well. They're good. IU East is coming off of an NAIA Division II Final Four run from a year ago, and they've kind of picked up right where they left off. So they're playing extremely well. Our division is loaded. If you look at our division, and our league has some depth to it. Maybe not record-wise right now because we've had some teams like ourselves go out and play an extremely tough schedule. But if you look at in our division alone, Ohio Christian, West Virginia Tech, Point Park, ourselves, everybody's got something that they bring to the table. And, like Corey alluded to, if you don't show up ready to play in our league, you're going to get tagged with a loss, whether you're at home or on the road. So it's going to be a grind for sure.
Corey, what's your take on the conference? You're one out there playing the games. I think on a national scale that people probably don't know how good of a league that actually is.
No, I think when we first got into the league, we didn't know what to expect either. And so league play started, and you don't know what's going to happen, and then you feel like there's not really a lot of respect coming from the other teams in the nation and stuff. And then I think coming onto this year, since last year, there's been a little more respect that's been added to our conference, I think. And that's a good thing. But it also means that you're going to have to come out and play because people are watching you now.
Right. Well, we talked about a little bit ago 2 more events coming up that involve men's basketball here at the Newt Oliver Arena. One of them, the Newt Oliver Coaches Classic. It comes up on Saturday, December the 10th. There are 4 games, 3 of them involving high school teams. And then, of course, a Rio Grande men's game thrown in between. The schedule begins that day at 2 o'clock with Gallia Academy and Bethel Tate, followed by Rio Grande and Wilberforce. And then we'll finish it up with a couple of high school games, Meigs and Oak Hill, and then Wellston takes on Canal Winchester. Coach, it's something that it's an annual deal, the Newt Oliver Coaches Classic, a chance to honor one of Rio Grande's legends, I guess, so to speak, and also bring back some of the people that have gone through Rio Grande athletics and are now involved in coaching.
Well, 4 of the 6 high school teams are coached by Rio alumni. So, we have a kind of a built-in network, with our alumni who are coaching, and it's not just men's basketball. They're spread across every sport just about. But, Coach Oliver was probably the best promoter of small college basketball in the history of the game for what he was able to do here in 2 years and take a team of a school of our stature and play in Madison Square Garden and accomplish the things that he did. And we try to honor him with this classic and bring back alumni who coach at the high school level to play in it. And it's grown, it's been successful, and we look forward to continuing it in the future.
All right, you've got that on December the 10th, and then on the 28th and 29th, you've got, for the second year in a row, a little bit of a middle school holiday tournament where you throw in a couple of local teams from up here in Ohio, and you go back to your roots a little bit and bring a couple of teams up from West Virginia.
You know, we've got Galley Academy in Jackson, and it's the Hard Work Camp Holiday Tournament, you know, for the middle school, because the Hard Work Camp is the title sponsor for the tournament and everything. But all these kids come to our camp, you know, from Gallia, from Jackson, from Vinson in Huntington, and from Sarita Canova. A lot of those kids are camp kids, and they come to camp every year. And it's something that we put together with first time last year, and it was a phenomenal event. Championship game in the 8th grade division went triple overtime, you know, and it was some great basketball. I expect it to be the same. There'll be great basketball again this year. You know, all 4 teams are coached by good young coaches that know what they're doing, and you know, the kids will be excited to be here because they're back on campus where they come to camp, and they know our guys, they interact with our program, and it's an exciting time. It's really unique that we get to be able to do that, and it's turned out to be something that we didn't know how well it would go the first year, but it was beyond our expectations.
And I know both of those events are something that we obviously invite people to come out and check out, because it's either while we're off on holiday break or prior to. And you know, let's face it, a lot of times not a lot of folks on campus, and you do what you can to get them into the gym, and those are 2 pretty good events to try to do that.
It is, and that's one of the reasons why we set it up and structure it the way we do and play them, like you said, when we do, because our students aren't on campus. And we've had, for the few home games that we've been able to play, we've had phenomenal student support this year. And you know, we're very appreciative of that and hope that they continue to turn out in the second semester when we play our home games, and you know, hopefully we'll put things together and start playing better.
Well, guys, I appreciate you joining me today, and good luck this weekend as you try to turn it around and get started in league play.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Randy.
Thanks,
All right,
Randy.
that's Ken French and senior player Corey Cruz, who joining us today on the show as the Rio men's basketball team sets to head to Pittsburgh this weekend for River State's conference. Course of the regular season, Union defeated Spring Arbor, Michigan yesterday in the quarterfinal round by a score of 3-0, and Rio now 20-1, the number 2 seed in the tournament. The other team from the River States Conference that is in the tournament, West Virginia Tech, eliminated earlier today, losing in overtime to top-seeded Hastings by a score of 2-1. And I think if we can get a look at it, we've got to look at the bracket of the national championship that kind of shows Rio, of course, playing at 4 o'clock today. Should they be victorious, they would play either Davenport, Michigan, there you see the bracket, or William Carey out of Mississippi Wednesday at 6:30, Wednesday at 6:30, off on Thursday. And then the national semifinal would be Friday night at 6:30. And, of course, if they can get to the title game as they did last year where they won the championship, that would be on Saturday at 6 o'clock. So a lot going on with men's soccer. And before we move on, we want to point out that they dominated the All River States Conference team, had some individual award winners for the league honors this year. Jorge Genevart there in the upper left-hand corner, he was named the player of the year. Pal Rodriguez, who we mentioned had the 2 goals yesterday, he's in the upper right corner. He was your offensive player of the year. Heitor DeMello, the defensive player of the year, he's in the lower left corner. and of course head coach Scott Morrissey, who was named the River States Conference Coach of the Year. He all but one major award, individual award, Rio Grande took this year. You see those four right there, and had a number of players who were named to the first team all-conference as well. Ben Martinez, Eduardo Zarita, Patricio Arce, Lucas Beffy. There were others that gained attention as well, so we wish the men's soccer team the best of luck as they continue their quest toward repeating a national championship. And again, my normal co-host, Jeff Lanham, that is where he is at, is down in Florida watching the men play for a national championship. Cross country also a very successful finish to their respective seasons. Both teams, the men and the women, winning the River States Conference championships, and the men finishing 17th at the national level. And there you see a picture from the national race, and that is Blake Freed, who finished 36th among the individual teams, or individual runners, I should say, and there were 331 runners, so Blake narrowly missed reaching a All-American status. And before we look at what the women did, we're joined by Matt Engstrom, who is involved with the cross-country program here at Rio. And when you look and you talk about making the nationals and faring as well as the teams did, what a feather in the hat for the program.
Oh, yeah, they did fantastic at the conference championship. It was nice winning it again because last year we lost. We put 4 in the top 7 and didn't quite get it. But this last year at Conference of Men just dominated, as I'm sure you spoke about. I think they put their top 7 in the top 15 with 6 of them in the top 10. And then to touch on Blake's almost All-American,
Right.
He positioned himself the whole way. I was there because Coach would let me travel, and he was in position the whole time. He went out, put himself in the top 30, and then just right down the stretch he got passed.
I don't think people understand, as a runner, you guys, you pace yourself to start out, and then as the race progresses toward the end, you kind of do your own thing from that point on.
Oh, yeah, Coach Willie kind of gives you some instruction right at the beginning. Like, for example, at All Ohio this past year, it was super muddy, so he told the guys, hey, get out, because you don't want to get caught in everyone else's crap. So at Nationals, he kind of just, he told you just to kind of relax. You've been here before, just go. The course actually started on an uphill, so it was different, but then the guys said they didn't even notice it when they were running up it at the beginning.
You talk about the national meet. For the team to finish 17th, that's pretty big. I mean, there were only 36 teams in the entire country that made the national, and to finish in the top half of that, I think speaks to the quality of the program that Coach Willie has.
Yeah, we felt like all year we weren't getting respected, but Coach Willie says that's usually how it goes since we're from Rio Grande. We were only ranked, I think, 36th the whole
Right.
year, and then they came and got 17th. And Cameron and Dallas didn't quite have the race that they usually do, because they're usually within a few spots of Blake. So finishing 17th was good, but I think they had a lot more. But given the circumstances, it was a good finishing for them.
I don't think as much was expected out of the women, but the fact that they were there and won the conference meet, as you said, to get the opportunity to compete, that was a big deal. Lucy Williams was the top finisher. There we see Carrie Lawrence on the left in bib number 220, and Maggie Dellinger is in bib 217 to the right of your screen.
Aubrey's right in the
Yeah,
back,
and
right
there's
behind
Aubrey
Maggie.
Dunphy in the background there. They finished 32nd out of 36 teams, but nonetheless, just to get there and to compete on that level is, again, a feather in the hat.
Yeah. The girls usually have a tougher way to nationals through the conference, because you have Asbury, who their women are always good. West Virginia Tech's women's are always good, and then of course that school we don't like to talk about, Point Park. They always have a decent program, but yeah, the girls winning conference was awesome, and that's really what the goal was all year. they didn't really have, as high as expectations at nationals as the guys did. So
I guess the good part about that is as opposed to the men's team, the women's team is relatively young. Most of them are back.
yeah. The men are losing. Oh man, Blake, Dallas, Kyle, Dusty.
Essentially the top 4 or 5.
Yeah, almost the whole scoring, and then the girls have everybody back except for Katie Glover and Alex Ellis, who swapped between that 7th spot for the year.
I guess now we'll find out exactly what kind of recruiter Coach Willie is, because obviously you talk about losing your top 5 scorers on the men's side. You got to find somebody to replace them.
Yeah, Coach Willie is a very good recruiter because he gets the kids who don't get recruited as much for higher level schools than 1640, 1650. So average, above average guys, but not quite the best in the state, more like the best in our areas, and he turns them into a Blake Freed who was 36th in the entire nation. I believe, I looked the other day at his state meet, his senior year, he was 47th in the state. And then he came and got 36th in the nation for college. So,
Well, that speaks again to the quality of the program, and we'll see what next year brings. We appreciate you stopping by today.
yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right, Matt Engstrom with Rio Grande Cross Country, and we move on to some of the other sports in the fall that have since wrapped up. The Rio volleyball team reached the semifinal round of the conference tournament. They finished 23-14 after losing to Indiana Kokomo in the semifinal round. And as a matter of fact, Kokomo is playing in the national event right now. They had some award winners during the course of that tournament. Chandler Brown named Libero of the Year. That's her on the left. Then you've got Autumn Snyder, who was a first team, or actually a second team selection, along with Aaliyah Pelfrey. They're the two in the middle. And Kayla Briley, who's on the far right there. Kayla was also a first team selection. Chandler Brown on the far left, she leaves as Rio's all-time digs leader. And on the far right, Kayla Briley will leave as Rio's all-time assist leader. And Autumn Snyder there in the red, she reached the 1,000 kill mark for her career during the course of this season. But they finish, as we said, 23-14. They reached the conference tournament as the number 2 seed out of the East Division. Posted an opening round win, but then fell in 3 sets to IU Kokomo in the semifinals. So they end up 23-14 on the season. Women's soccer, unfortunately, did not make the conference tournament this year, but still, I guess a good showing for Tony Daniels in his first season as the head coach. Forced into a tough spot a little bit, trying to do a better job now in terms of recruiting. His team finished 3-13-2, 2-5-1 in league play this season. Had a couple of young ladies that were honored in terms of all conference. There you see them, Jenna Jones on the left and Andrea Vera on the right. Jenna, a senior defender. Andrea, a freshman goalkeeper. They were both named to the all-conference second team. And another lady who is not pictured, Kristen Garn, she was named as the conference, or the Rio Grande representative on the conference champions of character team. So again, a tough season for the women, and a tough end of the year for head coach Tony Daniels. Had some health issues, and fortunately he is back and upright, which is a good thing, and happy to see him on campus as he begins the recruiting process for the 2017 season. We have plenty coming up between now and our next show. As if we can take a look at the schedule that is coming up, and actually we can't, so I'll go over it with you. It begins obviously with that game today in men's soccer. They'll take on Union College down in Delray Beach, Florida. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff. Should they win, they'll play on Friday, as we said, against either Davenport, Michigan, or William Carey out of Mississippi in the national semifinal round. Also on Friday night, as we mentioned, with Coach French and with Corey Cruz, men's and women's basketball will be on the road at Point Park. Saturday, it will be across town in Pittsburgh for the men and the women as they go to Carlo for a 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock doubleheader. And then the men, the men's soccer team, should they reach the championship game, that would take place on Saturday night in Delray Beach, Florida, 6 o'clock. And by the way, if you are interested in watching those games, you can do so. You can purchase the video through NAIAnetwork.com. They have a tournament pass where you can buy all of the games and see them on demand if you so choose. You can also watch them live on a game-by-game basis, I think for $9.95 per game. Friday the 9th, it will be the women's basketball team in action here at the Newt Oliver Arena as Wilberforce comes to the Newt to take on David Smalley's club. And then in men's play, on Saturday the 10th, we alluded to it earlier with Coach French. It's the Newt Oliver Coaches Classic. Rio will take on Wilberforce in that event as well. There will be 3 other high school basketball games which take place during that event on Saturday, December the 10th. The 13th, both basketball teams will be in action. River State's conference play on the road at IU East. Coach French again alluding to the fact that IU East highly ranked in the NAIA Division II top 25. Same can be said for the East women's team. So it'll be a tough haul to Indiana, to Richmond, Indiana for those 2 ball games. 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock the times on that doubleheader. Saturday, December the 17th, it will be a home doubleheader for the men's and women's basketball team. They take on Ohio Christian, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, the game times there. December the 20th, and we actually neglected to mention this with Coach French, the men will be here at 12:15 for a Champions of Character Classic as they bring in the youngsters from over at Rio Grande Elementary. They'll take on OU Lancaster at a 12:15 tip-off. If you've never come out to that, we invite you to do so. It's quite an event. The kids come out, they feed them lunch here at the Lions Center, and then they get to watch basketball and root on the Red Storm that day against OU Lancaster. Same day, earlier in the day, David Smalley's women's team will be down in San Juan, Puerto Rico to take on Siena Heights out of Michigan as they play in the Puerto Rico Classico is what they call the event. 10 o'clock Eastern time will be the tip-off. A couple of days later, the women will be back in action before they leave Puerto Rico and return home for the holidays. Their opponent and the time of that game has yet to be announced. And then we wrap up the month of December in terms of varsity athletics with a men's game on Friday, December the 30th at Mount Vernon Nazarene. That's men's basketball. So as we said, a lot of stuff coming up. Some of it's here on campus, some of it's not, but a lot going on between now and the New Year's holiday for all of our athletic teams. One more quick mention, the Newt Oliver Coaches Classic on Saturday, December the 10th. Here at the Newt Oliver Arena. 4 games, 2, 4, 6, and 7:30. Rio Grande men will play the 4 o'clock game. There are high school games that involve local teams such as Gallia Academy, Meigs, Oak Hill, and Wellston. And then on December 28th and 29th, the Hard Work Camp Middle School Holiday Tournament. That involves Gallia Academy, Jackson, out of the local area here in Ohio, Vincent, and Cerrito Canova out of West Virginia. With that said, we are wrapping it up here for the November edition of Eye on the Storm. Our good buddy Jeff Lanham hopefully will be back with us for the December edition. He'll have a very tan look about him as he returns. And before then, we want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. And we'll talk with you end of December for our next edition of Eye on the Storm. Randy Payton saying, until next time, so long, everybody.